We are now ready for a discussion on open data, and to help me do that, I've got a very good company from Ruud Mollema, which is a project manager of data and technology from the mobility program in the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management from the Netherlands. And from a little bit more hilly country, Norway, we have Terje Storhaug, which is the Chief Technology Officer of Ruter. And Ruter, I think, is really paving the road on how to do things different. And I'm sure that Terje will also think that it's better. So we'll see. Let's start with you, Ruud, to get into your presentation on open data. Go ahead.
Yeah, I hope everybody can hear me and see me.
We can definitely see you and hear you. So let's
okay, and if you see my presentation
wow.
as well.
Go ahead.
I'm happy. Okay. You see my presentation?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I'm Ruud Mollema, indeed. I'm from the Dutch MAS program, and in the next 20 minutes I want to show you what we are doing to try to opening up data. That's my word for this afternoon, opening up data to make it possible to cross-border travel in a seamless way. And we actually do that in a pilot project, and I will show you what we are doing and why we are doing things as we do it. Just a minute. Yeah, there we are. We have in the Netherlands, we started the MAS program 3 years ago with 7 pilots or startups, as you may call it, each with a regional focus and a national scope. And that means that we have a couple of pilots that aim at the big cities, Eindhoven, Utrecht, Rotterdam, The Hague, and Amsterdam, for solving the local problems there and aiming at goals, as mentioned, like sustainability or helping transiting from cars to train, things like that. We have 2 regional pilots that aim at handling with rural areas and disabilities, and in the Limburg region, which it lies next to Germany and Belgium, we have a very special pilot, and that's about cross-border traveling, because there's a lot of cross-border traveling from Germany to Limburg and the other way. Students, people who go shopping, people who work there, and that's why the focus is on that. We started with a focus on cross-border traveling from the start on. And we already had a lot of experience in trying to get good connections between the 3 countries, actually, between Belgium, Germany, and the Netherlands. We have, for instance, plans for a 3-country train that goes from Belgium through Holland to Aachen in Germany, but up to now it's still a 2-country train only from the Netherlands to Germany, vice versa, because the problems with Belgium have not been solved yet, but hopefully will be in the coming years. We work together in the Benelux context. The Benelux still exists, that cooperation between Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. Luxembourg is not quite close to the Netherlands, but in kilometers it's only, as the crowd flows, it's very short by. And there's also train between the countries, but we work together in a cross-border pilot and try to set up a demo to show how we can do it, what we're now doing in Limburg, together with Belgium and Luxembourg. We found out in a demo we did last year and the year before, technology is actually not a leading issue when you want to have seamless cross-border traveling in the future. Of course,
Oud, you are breaking up.
The approach of technology like location positioning, be out, be checking, be out, checking, all those things. The whole development interesting, but the
Did we lose Ruud?
Okay, you're back, Ruud. You were breaking up a little bit. You're on mute right now.
You're still on mute, Ruud.
You're still on mute.
devices.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Do you want to start sharing your presentation again, Ruud? There was, I think, some internet issue.
Oh, shit. Can I be heard?
Yeah,
You can be heard now. Yeah.
Okay.
we just need your
What was
presentation back.
that for me? I don't know when I went out. Can anybody tell me where I stopped?
Well, if you put you're only out for maybe 4 or 5 sentences.
Okay.
So if we see your presentation again, I think we can help you back.
What I think I last said that in the demo, we found out that technology is not a leading issue in seamless cross-border traveling, but the available of data is. And that means you have to open up data for both sides of the border to be able to use it in a proper way. The pilot continues, and we want to continue it on an international proven and EU-funded infrastructure. They're called the European Travelers Club, and I will share what we went through in this pilot and what we are doing now. You can compare it to what we did when the Euro came. It's quite a challenge in the pilot on cross-border traveling to have seamless services, and that's what we're aiming at: seamless services for people who travel between the countries. And the other example is the Euro. That's the full integration, the standardization, and transparency in the implementation for different countries of schemes. And what we did, each country has a financial scheme and each country has a mobility scheme. And what happened in the Euro, that we did not try to synchronize the schemes. We are doing that now, financially and social things like that. But we didn't do that from the start, and it gives some problems. But it's also good to realize that changing schemes is a long way to go. Nowadays in mobility, we have to deal with different schemes. If you go across the border by train or by car, you have to do with different rules, with different fares, with different systems, and that will be so for a long time. And a challenge also for the developments in the field of mobility, that new forms of partial transport, introduction of traveling with EMV, the entry of large tech companies, startups, things like that. That must happen within the current context, and the current context is the starting point to go to the future, but you cannot reach the future all at once. In the Netherlands, we use the TOMP API for traveling in MAAS, and the TOMP API handles actually all the conversation between a MAAS service provider and transport operators. We also have the role of transactions processor, but I will come to that. And that means that the TOMP API is not only a technical tool, but it opens up data for planning, booking, executing, supporting, and financial settling the trip of the traveler for all the parties. And it does that real-time online, and it has to be reliable. And for all stages in the MAAS trip, the TOMP API handles it for all types of modalities. It started with bikes and with cars, but now it's opening up also for modalities as trains and buses and taxis. There's also a part of accessibility and preferences, but that's not the topic today. We think that the TOMP API makes it possible to fully digital handling relationships within planning a trip. And that's also very important for cross-border traveling, because you can travel with a card quite easily at this moment, printed or whatever, but handling it completely difficult means that you have to have access to all the data on timetables, on fares, but also on things that happen and actual data across the border. And that's not the case yet. And we are trying to find that out in Limburg, how to do that. The TOMP API will probably be integrated in GBFS and synchronizes with the development of NetEx multimodal. And part of the trip is also the calculation of the price and the handling of all the transactions. And then we come to the role of the transaction processor. It's a challenge because the TOMP is used in the Netherlands. If we go across the border, there's no TOMP. There are other APIs and other platforms in development, and we have to deal with that as well. As I said, at this moment, the schemes between the Netherlands and Germany, but also Netherlands and Belgium, are not compatible. It means that we have different types of calculation, we have different rules for traveling, and we also have different ways of settling accounts between mass service providers and transport operators. And that will be the case for a long time. And we have to deal with all the specific things. Of course, we want to synchronize it, but that will not happen in the short term. What we found out that when you will set up international transaction processing completely digital, you need new components. Apart from the TOMP API that handles the conversation between a mass service provider and a transport operator, we need 3 new components. We need a price calculation engine that can calculate a price beforehand and afterwards. We need a clearinghouse that can settle financially between mass providers and transport operators, not between the mass provider and the client, but traveler. That's another kind of settling, but this is the clearing of all the transactions that happen between those 2 parties. And what we also need is what we have called a travel right stock, and that is a digital place where you can safely store the right that you bought to travel. And it can also, of course, can that be visualized on your phone or on paper for checking if you are in the right train and things like that. But these new roles are necessary to handle the trip completely digital. And they don't exist. We are building a travel right stock now. We are building in Limburg a price calculation engine with our TLS. We are a clearinghouse function in the Netherlands exists within TLS, but that's only for the Netherlands. And now you can see how we want to do that when you go across a border. Yeah, you see simultaneously, that's the Dutch situation and this is the German situation. And what we introduced is an interoperable router, which makes it possible to use these new components across the border. That means that when you buy a ticket in the Netherlands and you travel across the border, as you see at the bottom, that means that on the German side, they can see your travel right. And when the trip has finished, they can send the bill to the clearinghouse and it will be cleared in the Netherlands for the Dutch travelers. And on the other side, when the German traveler goes to the Netherlands, it's the other way around. But for both type of travelers, Dutch or German, they can travel seamless completely for public transport within the next year. And that means that this year, everything will not be completely available, but it will be very soon. Traveling with location positioning is one of the things we introduced that will take place as of 2022. for this trip, and the trip will be between Maastricht, Heerlen in the Netherlands, and Aachen on the other side. We work with a dynamic barcode that was developed in Germany for presenting your travel right to whoever needs it, or for instance in the Netherlands for opening up the gates at the station, at the train station. And the interoperable router makes it possible to translate the data from one country, one scheme to another scheme, as long as that is necessary. Of course, it would be very nice if we could have one European travel rights stock, one European clearinghouse, one European kind of API, be it TOMP, GBFS, or whatever. But that's not the fact yet. It will be very easy to exchange the local travel rights stocks, the local engines, the local clearinghouses on a European level into one European structure, of course. And we would like to have that if possible and as soon as possible. The router infrastructure ensures that the entire transaction is returned to the traveler in her home account or his home account, and the payment can be made for the entire trip on one account. And the travel right digitally gives a lot of possibility, because we are no longer dependent on cards or whatever kind of token. Of course, they may be used for giving entrance, for making payments, for whatever, but the travel right as such is a digital thing and can be found by everybody who has the right to find it. This is, of course, the future ideal situation. We would like to have a TOMP API or whatever kind of API on a European level for all mass provided in each country for dealing with each transport operator. We would like to have synchronized clearinghouses. We would like to have synchronized travel rights stocks, not only with Germany, but also with Belgium, Luxembourg, and hopefully for a lot more European countries. And of course, also one barcode. And why did we choose the German barcode? Because it was available, it was free of cost, and it was introduced in North Rhine-Westphalia, and that's the region where we are working with. Seamless cross-border traveling on a small scale, we think, will be a reality by opening up and exchanging actual and reliable data in our pilot. And we do a lot of work on that. And I think that based on the work we do, and we try as be as open as well. In the TOMP API, for instance, is open source, and everything we develop is also open source or open knowledge. And we think that by working together, by sharing our experiences and technology we develop, and by learning together, therefore, we may boost seamless multimodal cross-border traveling in Europe. And everybody knows that each government is aiming at replacing short distance flights by traveling by train. International training is at a very low level in Europe at this moment. And this also may help to speed that up. And I hope this presentation contributes to that. And I thank you for your attention. Now it's time for your opinions and questions.
Oh, you caught me off guard there, Ruud. Completing your presentation even ahead of time, that's a rare thing as seen as a moderator, and I appreciate it and I thank you a lot. Before we go into question modes, first of all, I would like the audience to actually put in some questions, or you'll have to live with mine. And then, but I'll give you a little time for that, because now we're going on to how Ruter in Norway, in Oslo in Norway, uses data-driven development of world-class to deliver a world-class customer experience. It's quite a bold statement, Terje, but you are a guy with bold statements. So let's hear from you. What's going on in Oslo?
Thank you very much. I'll see if I can get my presentation shared. On a second. I normally don't use Zoom. I use Teams. So you have to bear with me a while so I can get my presentation shared.
We're trying to be multimodal also in the...
Yes, that's very good. Let me see if I can...
So there should be a green share screen thing, and then you have...
Yeah, I know that. I just need to look up the right presentation.
I'm just filling the empty space.
Yeah, that's good. It worked the other day.
Yeah.
Try again here. Desktop 1, hang on. This was embarrassing.
No.
Being kind of a technology officer, I should definitely be able to share my screen here. Just a second, let me see.
But you have qualified people under you, so.
Let me now see if I can share my desktop. Oh, that's why. Okay, done. Oh, it was some security issues here. Now it should be okay. You still don't see anything. This is really embarrassing. Now we are pretty soon there. I think that we should be there. We should be there now, I think.
Yeah.
What do you see? You see my presentation?
We are very happy. Go ahead,
Terje. First of all, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. The nice introduction from you, Søren. We are bold guys up in the cold north, and we are continuing to be bold. So the title here is more of a case study than a sales pitch, I must admit. The purpose of this session, or at least for me, is to give you an insight in our ongoing journey towards becoming really a data-centric and customer-oriented organization, where we do our developments.
Yes. It seems like you are showing the screen with your where we can see your picture.
Here we go.
And now we
What do you see now?
Now I see your presenter mode.
Now you see
now we just see the clean screen. So just don't touch anything and go on.
That was exactly how it looks at this end a minute ago, but okay.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay, I hate Zoom. Nevertheless, we are trying to become a data-driven and customer-oriented organization where we really take the customer needs for serious in how we are developing our services. Our approach is to do a personalized door-to-door travel experience that is seamless, and that includes the traditional public transportation, but also the new on-demand type services that are emerging. Let me see if I can get the next page here by doing like this, perhaps. Yes. First, for those who don't know who Ruter is, let me just give you a few words. We are the PTA in a Norwegian capital area. Norway is like a small suburb of Paris. So we are some 5 million inhabitants in this long country. Our operation is in Oslo and the Akershus county or the Akershus part of a new large county which was established a couple of years back. The population within our area is 1.4 million. Our turnover is around about €1 billion. and of which our ticket revenue is around about 50%. How do we transport our people, our passengers? We have the metro system with 100 trains. We have a tram system in the city center of Oslo, some 70 trams. We have some 1,300 buses in our service, 6 ships on the fjord, and we are collaborating with National Rail when they travel or when they transport people in our area, in our geography. A typical day in our region, pre-pandemic, I have to say, is around about 1 million boardings and around about 150,000 tickets sold. Keep in mind, our network is probably one of the most open networks in Europe. There are no gates, there are no mandatory check-ins. In Oslo, we practice all-door boardings, both on trams and buses, and it's the traveler's responsibility to have a valid ticket when boarding. When we have all-door boarding, we do spot checks with the ticket inspections, and our experience and our track record on this is that we have a fair evasion rate of less than 5%. And in our regional buses, it is front-door boarding only, and the ticket inspection is done by the driver. The majority of our tickets are obviously monthly passes. Ruter was established as a limited company owned by Oslo and Akershus in 2008. That's why this curve starts, or these graphs starts in 2008. That's 0.0 for us. And despite a 20% population increase during the time up to 2019, we have actually managed to keep the car traffic level at 2008 level. Public transportation has grown, as you can see on the screen, and then something happened. Guess what? Ba-dam! And we had a 40% reduction in boardings. On the income side, we have lost some 200 million euro in income, which represents some 50–60% of our ticket income. And in an ordinary, at least privately held limited company, that is critical. But since we are asked by the government to continue our service unchanged, we are being compensated for the loss of revenue, at least for as long as there are public restrictions around, so we can continue to develop our services. So what do? We are in the middle of a serious transformation where we go away from the traditional thinking of systems and focus all about data. And if that is a bold move, well, it's a bold move. Like most of the PTAs and in Europe, we also have our share of legacy. In the public transport sector, for instance, I have 3 different types of card-based ticketing systems.
Oui, salut, ça va?
Say again?
Ah oui, moi, déjà, tu m'entends, oui.
Someone needs to mute.
Très bien.
Okay. Am I back on? You hear me?
Yeah, there was some noise.
Yeah. This is our original lineup. Huh? We had one system per function, vendor-specific solutions with very limited access to the new gold data. As an example, as I said, we have 3 different versions from 3 different vendors of card-based ticketing systems. Unfortunately, well, fortunately for us, technical end of life of these systems are within a few years. So we had some serious thinking to do a few years back. Do we do a new tender, buying the next version of these vendor-specific solutions, not only for ticketing, but for real-time information processing, for what have you, route planning, everything that is required in order to run a multimodal transportation service. We decided that, okay, we need now to think new. We need to cater for not only public transport, but a wide range of mobility services. The way we want to orchestrate those is to provide core functionality like travel information, product and payment information, and customer support, which are personalized, contextual, and smart. So that is the level of facilitation. And we want to meet our customers wherever they are, whether it is on a smart loudspeaker, a wristwatch, a screen, what have you. And this is completely different from what we have today with vendor-specific end-to-end solutions. So we have basically gone away from this way of thinking. That's why the industry haven't seen much tenders from Ruter lately on more systems. We reached out in the market and we didn't find what we were looking for, because we have another fortunate situation here. Our customers are already online. 97% of our customers boarding any of our vessels already have a smartphone. In Norway as such, 89% of the population have a smartphone. And in our region, we have network. This is a network map from one operator, and it is 4 years old. 5G is approaching, and obviously there was someone talking about 5G earlier today. We are definitely also very keen on getting 5G on board so we can have priority through the network. I'll come back to why. The reason why is that when we didn't find what we were looking for, we decided to actually start developing our own. Since our customers already are online and we have the network coverage, we took the bold move of saying, okay, let's put everything else online. So we do centralized and real-time processing of data streams that comes in from whatever is out there connected to our platform. I'll come back to that. And we employ new technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, predictions, in order to provide a seamless, contextual and personalized travel experience to our customers. The architecture here is event-driven and it's very much data-centric. To be honest, I don't care anything about systems anymore. What we have out there is thin clients, and we are using, to the best of our ability, standardized formats and protocols. This is where IT for PT comes in, which is probably most of you know, is the European effort of standardizing at least IT architecture on board vehicles in public transport. And we are using streaming technologies. So what is this Ruter's digital platform? It is actually a catalog of our things. It is the state of all these things, and it is the history of all these things. And on the left-hand side, you will see all the data producers, which are our vehicles. It is everything that you can think of other infrastructure which is connected, the so-called Internet of Things, but it's tunnels, rain sensors, pollution sensors, what have you, whatever you can fix a sensor on. And then, of course, we have the customers that communicate with us through our apps, through Twitter, to Facebook, and everything else. Within this platform, or on the other hand, we have on the right-hand side, we have the data consumers. These are applications, there are monitoring devices, there are control routines, there are machine learning, algorithm machines, etc., in order to really process on the data. We had an example last summer where we employed some really bright machine learning students. We gave them unstructured text coming from our customers through our webpage, and we asked them to create insight information on what these complaints could give of value. So we employed natural language processing. We created a chatbot that gave an immediate response back to the customers that were complaining. And we can also now pinpoint where the customers are complaining about the temperature on board, whether it's delayed, whether there was a departure that didn't occur. Everything comes from this natural language processing thing. Within this group, we have some 20 autonomous teams working using DevOps in a continuous integration, continuous deployment framework. So we are really now going very much away from the traditional waterfall methodologies in order to develop solutions, and we are all agile. Even our strategy is now being agile and dynamic. Okay, catalog of things. This is a thing. We can't put the bus into our systems. We are creating a digital twin. This is the digital twin of a bus. It's all these sensors that are actually contained in that bus that are streaming data to our platform continuously. So we very much know everything there is to know about the movement of this particular bus. What else twins do we have? We have twins for tickets, for customers, for payments, for our complete line network, for stops, everything that is physically out there, which has an impact on our service. We have a digital twin. We can then plot all these twins onto a map, for instance, and these color codes are representing a change of state of all these things. And this is just a screenshot. All these blue and colored dots are moving as vehicles are moving. They are reporting position every other second. So I'm a big customer of Amazon Web Services. The data goes into cloud. I have a digital twin on all our vehicles. As a fundamental prerequisite for this strategy is to use standards. We would not accomplish this through deploying several vendor-specific and proprietary solutions, because we are, as perhaps most of you, are struggling getting data out of these proprietary legacy systems. So Ruter has been and is still a driving force within the standardization effort of IT4PT. And actually, we were the first PTA that mandated compliance to these specifications in a tender. Those 500 first buses compliant with IT4PT commenced operation summer of 2019. There are several ways of doing IT4PT implementation. Since we are data-centric, we went all the way to the right-hand side, the IoT sensor cloud type of architecture. It changes how we do things. We cannot operate thousands of sensors on board vehicles that belongs to other organizations. So we actually changed the business model. The business model now is such that we are only specifying data streams to and from the vehicle. We provide the software. The operator provides the hardware. It changes how we do tenders. It changes how we collaborate with the operators. It changes how we develop our services. And it changes a lot of other internal processes. So this is really a transformation. As we speak, there are some 800 out of our 1,300 buses now on the new platform. We have 4 operators using this platform and the IT4PT specifications. Soon, new 400 buses, new 70 trams, and also some new electric ships that will commence traffic within a few years. We anticipate that we have completed the migration towards this new platform in 2024, 2025. And we collaborate with other PTAs in Norway, in addition to IT4PT, which is now spreading out through Europe, but also globally. Okay, how does that affect ticketing? Ticketing is not yet specified and standardized within IT4PT. It is in process of being done, but or being started, but there is nothing now. So our journey in 2008, we had some well, like the rest of the world, I think we were using paper tickets in various forms and formats. We had 77 zones and 77 ticket types. That gives the tremendous 23 billion combinations. It is very difficult for a customer to really navigate through this system. In 2019, the mobile ticketing app has some 74% of all our ticket sales. We have reduced this now to 7 zones, and there are same fare rules between the counties. We also look at other ticketing concepts like be in, be out, and we are actually planning on going away from the concept of ticket. I have yet to meet someone that woke up this morning with an urgent need to acquire a ticket. So why on earth do we need tickets? We don't think that we need them going forward. What is better than the travel card? That's to manage without. So we have experimented, tested, be in, be out, fully automatic systems without, well, completely ticketless. This is the development of our traditional travel card business and also the shift towards mobile. On our sales channel, the transactions per channel, you can see on the, I'm not sure whether you can see it, on the middle of the page, you have number 5, it says ticket vending machine, just above the figure 2019. And you see that is also declining tremendously. That platform is beyond technical end of life, and we are, as we speak, taking them out of service. This will be concluded during the next month, and they will not be replaced. So ticket vending machines as a sales channel will go away this summer. As I said, we are very much active in involving our customers. We are running a lot of user tests with our customers, both on concepts and solutions. So we have, in 2019, 74% of our transactions were digital. So that customer segment is okay. There are some, however, some 26% that are not yet digital. Out of those 26%, we consider that we will have really difficulties in getting the last 9 to 10% of our customers across onto a digital platform. So, first of all, we are moving the ticket vending machine into people's pockets. We have now 1 million TVMs in people's pockets, and we are also looking at how can we create an alternative for those who don't want to use a smartphone for ticketing. And we have to acknowledge that there are customer segments that, for various reasons, are not going to use their smartphone as tickets. So what we see on the screen here is actually a prototype of such a device. It looks like a smart card. It tastes like a smart card. It was received by the customers as a smart card. Basically, it's a beacon. And that creates moves also that customer segment into the digital world by giving them a beacon instead of giving them actually a smartphone. I'll show you some examples on how this plays out in the field. This is some screenshots for our new app, which is going to be deployed early next month. So this is world premiere. As you can see on the left-hand side, it's a multi-modality, it is a multi-modal ticketing app. It is a combination of a customer support app and a travel planner. It also tells you where you have the micro-mobility. Here is the city bikes on the second screen, and they have some kick scooters on the third screen. We even indicate on this app where there are parking zones for the kick scooters. The next one is, again, since everything is online in our system and we're using machine learning and such techniques, we can now predict much better the estimated arrival time or the estimated travel time, taking rush hour or the variations throughout the day into consideration. The second thing we can do is actually on the second screen, and apologies for this being Norwegian. It actually indicates the fill factor on the vehicle. The first one, it says O+ on a green line, means that it is plenty of space on that bus between these stops. The next one, it says some free space, but on the far right-hand side, you see it is little space, very little space. So what we can use this information for is to give our customers an ability to replan and to pick up another route to travel or to travel at a different time. What we have achieved now is to feed our machine learning algorithms data from the last 3 weeks, and they are pretty good in predicting what will happen the next 3 days. In terms of hardware, I said we don't care about hardware. So at the bottom right-hand side is actually our new fare collection ticketing system on board this bus on the left-hand side. It is a standard Android tablet with a standard ticketing or printer and a standard NFC card reader, so we can still use smart cards onto this. The operator provides the hardware, we provide the software. On the top of the screen, you see a large display, which is actually the onboard dynamic passenger information screen, which is completely fed by our back office. There is no logic within the vehicle to do anything on that screen. Everything comes from the central system. Even the voice or the next stop calls that are coming over the loudspeakers come from our central system. On the left-hand side, you see actually the first IT4PT compliant bus that commenced traffic in June, July 2019. And this equipment on the right-hand side is installed there. I have lost completely track of time, so since you haven't shouted, Søren, I guess I'm still okay.
I'm shouting.
You're shouting, good, because this is my last voice. So thank you very much for listening, and apologies if this was both while breathing both ways. This is me. So.
Well, thanks, Terje, and I don't know what happened. It seemed like you have blown away the audience because they have been all into listening to you and forgot about asking questions. So of course you'll say that it's because there are no questions to be asked. I mean, you have all the answers, but
okay.
So, but really, I mean, it's amazing that the way at least if I can say something, what you guys are doing in Oslo, just completely opposite of a traditional PTA thing where you specify. We have also heard here during the day that you use 2 years to specify the next generation of ticketing system, and then you put it in procurement, and then you have years to get it into production. And you, in that time, you have made maybe 7, 8, 10 new evolutions in Oslo. So
we have a fail fast policy, meaning that it is quite okay to fail, but fail fast and don't repeat your failures. That's how a learning organization evolves.
I was missing the slide. I've seen you use one time. It says at Ruter we fail.
Oh yes, every day.
Okay, a few questions for me, and then there's a cost, an actual question. Thank you for that. It's from Francis. Is the Ruter app contactless? Do you take care of all back office software yourselves?
We take care of all our software ourselves. As I said, we have some 20 autonomous teams, around about 150 to 200 software engineers working on this platform continuously. When it comes to contactless, we had an option when whether we should employ that as a substitute for our ticket vending machines. But we are allergic to owning hardware that is deployed on other people's properties. So we have opted out on that for the moment, and it may come in the future. Obviously, we have to support contactless payment, but not as a check-in, check-out device, because we are not checking in and checking out. We want to do this seamlessly.
And then there's a question again for you, Terje. Your app, it's from Rafael Caltabiano. Will your app be available in different user languages, or is it totally homebrew? And how does that work?
This is homebrew, and we haven't considered, perhaps we should, exporting this. I said initially this is a case study, not a sales pitch. Perhaps I should come back with a sales pitch. I don't know. But we are collaborating with a lot of other PTAs in Norway. Keep in mind that Ruter, being lucky enough to operate in the largest populated area in Oslo, we we represent 55% of all public transport in Norway, and we are only one PTA. So we collaborate with the other PTAs in Trondheim, in Bergen, in Stavanger, in Tromsø, in order to actually benefit from our experience, and they provide a lot of input and insight in their markets on how to bring this forward. So there's a national collaboration, and but the driving, I mean, we are doing most of the development.
Okay, and to Ruud from Francis again, you were talking about the interoperable router. I think that's one between the countries. What is it more precisely, and is it also a translator between Dutch and German?
Oh, it's not a language translator, because all our apps and all our functionality is multilingual. That's a prerequisite for all app builders in the Netherlands. It should be multilingual. But what it translates is the data, the content from scheme to scheme. It translates a German calculation of distance that is as the crowd, as the crowd flows from station to station. And in the Netherlands, we calculate by kilometer. And what the interoperable router does is it translates those calculations from one to another, and it also has to do with fares. So it's not a language calculator, because language is multilingual. Because we believe in Europe, but we also believe in foreign people using our apps, or our each MaaS provider app can be connected to the router system in Limburg.
Okay,
so,
and the Tomb API. How do I get a hand of it?
You can find it on the GitHub.
Okay.
If you look for Tomb API on GitHub, you can find all the documentation you need.
So it is open source.
It's all open source. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's basically something that we have maybe not talked too much about on this conference. I mean, there are an alternative to go out and get somebody else to do stuff, and that is to do it yourself. And that's also, I think, the Ruter experience. So we're seeing some a different approach to how to get to better ticketing with those you two guys' presentation. Just I need to have clarified the concept of a dynamic barcode, Ruud.
A barcode is a presentation in QR code or in barcode. With a dynamic barcode, the barcode actually is in the back office, and it changes every second, half second, 2 seconds. So that's very difficult to duplicate. But
okay, so
it can also work offline if you don't have a connection, but actually it works really online connection with the back office.
So it continuously transmits a change to the device.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Now I'm fully. And then I think a final one to Terje, the data-driven approach and the way that you're doing it with Ruter. You mentioned that other PTAs in Norway is trying to do the same. Is there a lower limit? I mean, you need to have some expert. I mean, you need to change the organization from a procuring organization to a developing organization. Can everybody do it, or is there a lower limit to how small a PTA you are? I don't know.
There are collaborations between several PTAs, not only with us, but also a couple of others are collaborating on doing development on other things. If you look at, I can't recall which foil it was one of my pictures where I said there are 4 operators now connected to our platform. These operators are very good in driving buses. They are no IT companies. They had to transform likewise because they had to provide the data in addition to actually doing a transportation service. Their approach was not like us to employ IT experts. They actually contracted out in the field. So I know that there are vendors, at least 3 vendors that are supporting the 4 operators which are operating in our region. And these are IT companies that are operating in the free market. So you don't have to do it yourself, and it's no limit, to. I mean, there is no limit, or there is no requisite how big the organization should be, as you can actually contract the whole stuff out.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you to you, Terje, and to you, Ruud, for excellent presentations and insights in what you're doing, both multinational and doing just completely different. And I think if we close my day of moderation here, I'm pretty excited about the slide, the bragging slide from Terje on how you actually with public transport can consume the increase of ridership in Oslo completely by doing smart mobility through public transport, and I think there might be also somebody in the city hall that is helping as well. But you are a testament for that public transport. There's a chance and there's a future. Thank you very much, and thank you from me today. And enjoy the rest of the show. Over to the organizers.